Welcome to Moderate to Severe, the podcast where we will dive deep into what it means to be a man today and tackle the real and raw issues facing us. We've created a safe space for setting aside the bravado, peeling back the armor, and talking about what's really going on inside. Mental health is no longer just a buzzword. It's real life and something that I, just like many of you, suffer through daily. I'm Jonathan Scott, and I want to focus on the value of vulnerability through personal stories, expert insights, and practical tools to help you take care of your mental well-being and redefine what strength really is. We'll dive into the everyday battles we face, from handling stress, overcoming self-doubt, and figuring out how to ask for help and accept it. Each week, I'll be sharing my own experiences along with stories from other men, mental health experts, and everyday people who have seen or been through it all. So if you're here to listen, to learn, or just feel less alone, you're in the right place. So get comfortable and let's break the silence together. So when they're coming to see you, confidence-wise, what do you notice about the confidence of the individuals coming to see you?
I think the confidence definitely depends per individual, but in terms of the confidence to ask for help, women are more likely to ask for help than men are. Sometimes men are either too afraid or too prideful to actually ask for help. So that's kind of one of the breaking barrier points that personal trainers, whether they are male or female, to understand. And necessarily, we don't want to talk down to them, but we want to talk to them and make sure that they understand that we are with them throughout their entire goal. The personal training industry is changing in terms of how we approach physical health, because physical really correlates with the mental and emotional aspect. And one of the best ways to do that is to dive deeper into the type of questions that we are asking. The type of questions that we ask and the type of listener that we are actually creates the type of speaker that we want to make sure that they feel safe and that they feel like they can be a lot more honest and truthful with themselves when they're asking for a certain need.
Nice. Let's talk about the mental health aspect of it. What's the importance of working out, being physical in your mind for the mental health aspect of individuals?
There can be a lot of different positives when it comes to mental health while you work out. One of the simplest things is it definitely releases certain hormones in your body to make you just feel a lot better. Two, for a human, when they accomplish something that is hard and come out of it, they feel a lot more motivated to continue going with the goal. Three, when you are in a better group environment, you actually start feeling more needed at the end of the day. It is very, possible for anybody to kind of do things on their own to kind of achieve a certain goal. But what I've noticed personally is that the more that people actually work out with somebody else or with together, there's actually a huge benefit to that, because there are some days where someone's just not going to be in the mood to work out, and then you have a buddy holding yourself accountable. I think one of the best examples for me is, as a personal training leader, I kind of have to rush in and rush out in my workout. And lately I've actually been training with one of my staff members, Mike, a very good, I would say also friend of mine too. And he just tells me to just start lifting. And sometimes I change my workout programs to just see whatever he does. And I've actually been hitting a couple of personal records because of him. So even leaders and mentors need mentors at the same time too.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm told is the physical output that I do really can, make an impact on my mental health. Do you notice that? Have you seen clients come in and at the beginning of the workout, a little sluggish, a little down? By the end of the workout, they're motivated, they're feeling ready to go, they feel good about themselves. Do you notice that? Do you have a story? I mean, anything really comes to mind?
Definitely happens a lot, right? There are some people that just show up that are not necessarily in the best mindset to work out. So there are a couple of things that personal trainers can do without stepping outside of their expertise. One, I would probably say the first thing that they should do is just ask a couple of questions and dive deeper into whether it is a personal reason that they're being held back, and to allow that client to be as open as long as they feel comfortable with it. Two, change the exercise routine right off the gun. There are definitely a lot of people that have a lot of stressful lifestyles, right? In terms of not only being a CEO of a company, they also have to be a husband and they also have to be a father. And if you think about it, when are they ever going to be themselves? And it's the same thing with females at the same time, too. And that can be daunting to a lot of people, which can actually have an emotional and mental impact on how they follow fitness programs. So, as personal trainers, yeah, we can definitely kick their butt. But at the same time, if they are already at a stressful state, their nervous system is kind of already overloaded, sometimes it's not the best thing to actually add stress on top of the stress itself, because that's actually how people are gaining a lot more visceral fat at the end of the day. Stress upon stress, build that over a period of time, definitely changes body composition. So personal trainers do have to have a little bit of that relational and emotional intelligence to make sure that they are making the right decisions for their clients.
What's the difference between working with someone besides the weight and things of that nature, the young athlete compared to someone who may be in their 60s or 70s? What is the approach? How do you handle them? Is it more of a push with the younger kids, where with the adults it's more like bringing them along? Or do you I know it can't be a one size fits all. So what are we looking at here? If I'm a 15-year-old football player out at Nanuet, what are you doing?
Yeah. So the awesome thing about training different age groups is that you actually kind of learn something about yourself as you're training that certain age group. Training a younger kid in their teenage years is definitely fun for certain reasons. One, it kind of reminds you of yourself for when you were competitive. Two, you are able to do a little bit more high intensity stuff that's sports specific. Three, you can actually teach them a little bit of your own knowledge when it comes to personal growth and professional growth at the same time. It is a very rewarding part of my career when I'm able to actually train these young kids, because hopefully I give them a long lasting impact that helps develop them as a character down the line. Now, in terms of like an older adult, I would definitely say the first thing is safety and longevity. A person that is in an older age group definitely wants to make sure that they are not pushed too hard. And that's why a lot of the older population kind of doesn't necessarily know exactly what a personal trainer does, because the way that they grew up was totally different than the way that 15-year-olds are growing up too. I think for them, the older population, they never really knew or understood what technically fitness professionals can actually do. So the exercise program will be different for both of them, male or female. But in terms of, I would say the intensity would definitely be different as well too. And that's kind of how the personal training world works, because if there was a one size fits all, I would probably be charging millions of dollars for that solution.
Yeah. And if there was a one size fits all and you find it, just bring me on as your partner, and
Yeah,
I won't
right.
take half, but I'll take 250. What
Yeah,
age?
yeah.
What age should people start getting involved in weightlifting for the kids? I know this debate has been going on since I was a kid. Don't squat at 13. Wait till you get older. Don't do heavy weight. What are you looking at? What age should parents start looking to get their children into weightlifting? Physical fitness on your end, not sports, but really taking care of their body. Focusing on certain body parts. What age are you looking at?
Right. I would say the younger, it could probably be better, but anybody over the age of 10, or I would say 12 to 13, would probably be a good first step for it. What I've definitely noticed in the past couple of years is kids are getting smarter than ever and maturing a lot faster than I ever actually was back in the day too. And that's because of the access to technology, not just from what they have experienced at their own home, but they definitely have friends that have already exposure to certain technologies that their home lives didn't have too. So with that being said, right, I would definitely say that the younger that a person starts, the better. Now, in terms of the actual training program itself, it kind of varies. But what I also am noticing too is that as much as parents are trying to get their kids involved in a lot of things, even a 12 or 13-year-old, they're a human itself. They are not necessarily a machine that can actually train all the time, 6 or 7 days a week. there's definitely been some times for myself and for other trainers that actually do some download recovery exercise programs for these kids. These kids are probably exhausted. They are probably run down because they are working out 24/7 and they don't necessarily have the nutritional needs to keep them going. Now, when it comes to females at a younger age, I have definitely been noticing what females view food to themselves. And it is a very, very sensitive subject that'll only go a certain way. But what I have been noticing too for younger females is they really do start comparing themselves to what they definitely see on social media. And I think it's more important than ever for parents to get their young girls to be involved in a fitness program with another female or male to help understand what truth really means to them.
Wow, that's good. I like that. I never thought about that aspect. You know, I ask about the age because my youngest is 10. My oldest is a 17-year-old senior, and we have him working out at a local gym here. And it's funny, I went to pick him up yesterday. I go early and watch him, but I don't sit in there. And he's working out with all the 17-year-old seniors, who are my son's buddies, and he's fine. I mean, he loves it. I think it's, really builds and builds confidence. But he was doing shoulder press yesterday with dumbbells, one arm at a time, and I knew we were coming on today and having this discussion. And you know, I don't know. For me, I lifted my whole life, so I am scared of the gym because of the weight I used to put up, and I'm nowhere close to it now. Um, Talk about athletes or people who were athletes coming back to the gym. Is that something you notice? Like, people have a hard time getting back to the gym because of where they once were and they're not there. And, that whole idea of starting over, nobody wants to start over in anything in life. But, starting over in the gym with everybody around staring at you, which we know nobody's staring at you. How do you talk to those guys? I mean, do you see that, men and women who were once these athletes and they come back to the gym and they're like, what am I doing here?
Exactly. It happens all the time. And at the end of the day, what they only knew about fitness back then is the only thing that they're incorporating to fitness right now. And the fitness industry and the wellness industry continues to change and evolve every decade, and information is actually getting to us faster than ever. So what that technically means is a lot of people think that what they can do back then is actually working and would work for their age group right now, which is not necessarily true. There's a lot of people in their 40s that are trying to train like they're in their 20s, when in reality, a lot of people in their 20s should already start training like they are in their 40s. The term longevity and vitality. So when it comes to athletes or ex-athletes, the idea for a personal trainer and a strength and conditioning coach is to do a couple of PAR-Q questions or even assessments to help them understand where they are in terms of movement, in terms of body composition, in terms of strength. That's technically what a personal trainer should do, right off the bat. But in terms of the behavioral change and the realistic expectations, that's where a personal trainer should really start digging deeper into what the person believes in health. We always like to tell our people, don't judge your own success by somebody else's ruler, because that's definitely what people are doing, especially when they're athletes. They're competitive. Now have them being exposed to Instagram, where all their clicks is basically on competitive focused stuff. You look at that every day, for 7 days a week, for 52 weeks, it will be stuck in their head that they can do something without regarding where they're already at right now.
Yeah, it's funny. My workouts right now, and thinking about Instagram. First of all, I don't follow them. The workouts, they pop up every once in a while. The one guy who charges $150,000 you have to make in order to work out with him. I walk.
Saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I see him all the time. I walk, Duncan. I do about 3 to 4 miles every morning. I try to get up at 4. Sometimes I hit the snooze too long, and I have to do it in the afternoon. Walking work? Does walking really work?
Sadly, no.
Oh.
It is the bare minimum for a human being to survive. I think the healthcare industry does a great job protecting, its clients, members, and citizens. But in terms of being proactive, there needs to be a little bit more than just walking. As a human being, our species are meant to hunt, meant to fight, and meant to protect, which is why our species have adapted over thousands of years. Now we are actually having technology do everything for us that we really have less activity. But when you are telling a human that, like, okay, good job for walking 3 times a week for 30 minutes a week, that's almost kind of like, I would say, disappointing, right? To tell you that that's enough for the human species to survive, right? So what I would definitely say to you and your listeners, continue doing the walking if that's definitely like a good mental break for you, but really try to expose yourself to calisthenics and trying to master your own body weight, because walking won't be able to help you learn how to pick up something heavy off the ground. Throughout the ages of your life, your lean muscle mass will fluctuate. But what won't fluctuate is the food that you carry, is, the labor that you do outside in terms of yard work. That weight will probably stay the same, but your lean muscle will always change. So I would say calisthenics and just trying some other things to really get you started.
How many days a week should somebody in their 40s be working out?
Through American College of Sports Medicine, which is probably one of the oldest personal training certifications out there, I would definitely say they recommend about 180 minutes, right? 60 minutes, for even 45 minutes for traditional strength training. But I would also say it's not just what you do, right, with the time that is given to you, but it's the type of exercises that you do. If you think about it, machines are very well known and popular on the Instagram reel, right? But a lot of people don't realize machines were created back in the day to cut costs of labor in a fitness facility, meaning that if a fitness facility opened up, it would be cheaper to have all these machines rather than all these personal trainers on the fitness floor, which is why machines have gotten like a great rep. They took away the coaching aspect to just focus on just individual muscle groups. Machines can work part of the time, but it's not the only solution right there. So that is why it's more than important than ever to have human beings coach what movement is. Just because you have over 300 muscles in your body doesn't mean you know how to basically utilize them. And if we are talking about longevity and vitality, strength doesn't originate in the muscle, it originates in the brain. And it is more important than ever for fitness professionals to start kind of connecting the dots as to why human beings should learn a certain hinge pattern, squat pattern, lunge pattern, and so forth.
Wow, there's a lot. I've never heard this stuff. I thought I was pretty on top, Duncan, of everything that was going on, and I'm listening to you, and I'm like,
I'm here for you.
man, a lot has changed since I had. I was always used to the 4 exercises per body part, 10 to 12 reps every 6 to 8 weeks. You max out, see where you're at, start it over, run it down again. Free weights or machines? Which are better? Or does it depend on if you're going for toning, you're going for mass, you're going for strength? Which are better for which aspects?
I'm going to be that annoying podcast speaker and say that it depends, right? Okay. Like nobody wants to hear the answer that it depends, but it really does based on your personal goals. Machines are known to be safer because of the fulcrum and their range of motion that doesn't kind of extend people's joints for too long. But free weights would actually be better for a lot of people that are starting to be into the gym itself, because you recruit a lot more muscle groups because of that.
Yeah, I'm going to throw something out there. Like I said, I like you to have the platform. When I was growing up, I was always taught heavy shoulder press behind the neck. And I'm talking 225, 315 behind the neck shoulder press. I've had 6 shoulder surgeries. Anything to do with it, you think? I mean, do you teach behind the neck shoulder press now with the free weights?
Most of the time, no.
Okay.
But, in terms of actually getting a certain physique, probably, right? If they really wanted to learn it. But that really depends on certain assessments to measure your shoulder mobility at the end of the day. It's so interesting because nowadays it is so easy to open up your phone and look at a social media platform where it's starting to project and present a certain exercise that worked for someone and they look a certain way. So a lot of people are actually choosing that exercise to look a certain way and not even realizing that it might not be the best for them. But because they're exposed to that social media platform almost every single day, subconsciously, they're going to be like, yeah, this is going to work for me until it's too late.
Yeah, I understand. You mentioned a lot about social media. Do these social media trainers that you can now hire and follow their workout, are they taking away from the brick and mortar trainers like yourself and other ones at other gyms? I mean, do you see more people going towards them because they can do them at home, or do you still get the same clientele coming through the door?
That is a very great question. There is a lot of answers into that too. What I will say is this: depending on where the personal trainer is, if they are at a high income area, those people are more likely to participate, right, in higher expenses because they know that human to human contact will actually get them further. Now, in lower income areas, because if they don't have that much capital to spend, of course, these Instagram influencers will be the next step for them to get involved. Will it actually take away from certain things? There's ebbs and flows to the business. But what I will tell you about the social media platform nowadays is the change of artificial intelligence. For example, in Spain 3 years ago, there was a model that was promoting clothing and looked like a fitness model in Spain and was getting paid about like 3,000 euros a month. Little did people know that that person, that female, was actually created by a team of engineers that created an artificial intelligence for it. That person did not exist. Not only did people buy the apparel from that Instagram account, but there was news that there was a bunch of actors asking that woman out when she didn't even exist. So that is what the artificial intelligence world is starting to build up right now. And not only that, you now have these creators that are selling artificial intelligence tools to update people's image and update what they actually look like too. So Instagram influencers are probably using these artificial intelligence tools to help their marketing to get people for clickbait at the end of the day. I cannot get angry at them, but I am a little bit more disappointed than ever in the fitness world right now because a lot more people are taking the easy way out to just get clicks and sales.
No, I understand that. You know, I always felt like you just mentioned the person to person contact. I always found when I was working out, I wanted somebody there, whether it was a lifting buddy, a trainer, or things of that nature. I think it comes from the fact that we're competitive as nature. Especially the males are competitive. I can't say that though because my daughter is extremely competitive. But do you find the group is better than the one-on-one? Which one do you think, when you're looking for that intensity, for that focus, which is better? Is it individual where they can focus themselves more, or is it the group where they're kind of pushing each other?
If you're a competitor, probably be better to be in a group environment. But if you're more of an introvert, probably the one-on-one experience would be better.
Yeah. How long a day should you let work out? I mean, what's an average workout? My son goes sometimes. He's there for 45 minutes. He's in, he's out. He doesn't like to goof around. He likes to work out. Is he getting a good workout in 45 minutes if he's doing what he's supposed to be?
Absolutely. If he's doing compound movements, and what compound technically means is using multiple movements at once: squat pattern, the hinge pattern, the push pattern, and so forth. If he's just focusing on a machine that only focuses on a chest muscle, on a tricep muscle, and so forth, those machines were actually very well known for physique bodybuilding, but nobody really understood that to get that certain body shape, they had to be in the gym for over 2 hours and also take supplements on top of that to fuel them to making sure that their muscles actually get the energy that they need. But you can actually get a very good workout between 30 to 45 minutes.
Nice. Maybe I'll join the gym again. I have it written down. I'll put that in my notes of things to do. It's a real long list. I try to knock one or two off. There's about 500 things on it. When we
Perfect.
go back to the aspect of mental health, um, Do you find it more and more important in your role to kind of have some knowledge base of mental health, seeing that there's such an increase in mental health all across the spectrum? I mean, I throw the number out there all the time, but 58 million Americans, 1 in 6 people are dealing with it. If you're not dealing with it personally, you know somebody, a loved one, who is most likely struggling, whether you know or you don't know. Do you find yourself kind of wanting and needing to know more about the mental health just to kind of understand where the person's coming from? I mean, is that playing a role, or is it something that you don't really touch?
Absolutely. I think it's more important than ever for personal trainers to understand that their responsibilities and their profession is being challenged, that they do need to start stepping outside of the box and not necessarily become a certified therapist, but understand where their profession is going with all these artificial intelligence and GLP-1s that are starting to expand into the fitness industry. Again, with the fitness industry, what's happening right now is I have a couple of clients that are starting to take GLP-1s, which is known for like Ozempic. And there's a lot of people that's starting to lose weight, but they're also losing lean muscle. And doctors aren't necessarily kind of talking about that with their clients and helping them understand what the downfalls of that is. I have two men that are taking GLP-1s, and it's almost a little demoralizing to them for them to see on their in-body machine that measures lean muscle mass and body fat that they are losing weight, but they're also losing lean muscle. And if we really are talking about longevity and vitality, this is becoming a very big issue. GLP-1s are meant for a certain specific population, but the way that it's distributed to the mass is probably not the best thing for our society right now, too. And because of that change, mental health is being affected more than ever, especially for men, which is why what I've been doing on my own time is starting to find courses on how to connect better with men, but also facilitate group environments with men.
Yeah, and we all know that, men don't talk, men don't share. So, good luck with that. And I'm serious. I hope that you can start
Thank you.
connecting. You're very personable, so I don't think that's going to be an issue with you. The obesity epidemic in our country, it's out of control. I know I'm overweight. I have been diagnosed with an eating disorder. Um, what do we do? I mean, it's got to start with the food we're putting in our mouth. Um, I think that's number one. I think most people would agree with that. I also think besides obesity, we're just such a sedentary like population. We just sit and like we work and we go home and you know what do you tell people? Like, how besides just saying get up, let's go? What I'm talking to you and I come in. How are you selling me the importance of taking care of your body?
Get involved in different communities.
Yeah. All right.
Get involved in either a sports activity, get involved in dancing, get involved with a new group of people that have the same values that you do. That's going to help you with this journey. As I said before, this is all about fast fashion, fast food, fast dating. And when it comes to health, there's no such thing as a fast result. And that is why it's more important than ever to be surrounded and supported by like-minded individuals that can help you as you go through this journey, because you're not going to be able to hold yourself on your own on this. You're going to need someone to pick you up from time to time.
Nice. How is the fitness industry going right now? Are you guys busy? Is it booming? Is it a little slowed down? Is there an uptick? I know at January you guys probably see a rush of people coming through the doors every year. It's got to probably die down by now, but summertime's coming. How does it? I mean, you said before it ebbs and flows. How is it right now as compared to the past that you've seen? Like, are there more people working out or are there less?
I will explain this in terms of from a club perspective, my own club perspective, and then from a macro perspective of the US. From a club perspective, we are in more of a suburban area that has a lot of families. So when school's out, everybody's out, right? When summer's out, everybody's out. We don't necessarily have the traffic, a lot of like young professionals that kind of come in all year round. The club down the street, which is 20 minutes away, they have a lot of traffic because they have single individuals. We have family-oriented individuals. So it is a little bit different. But from a macro perspective, I would definitely say that fitness is becoming a bigger deal now, especially to the younger generation. I think the Gen Zers are less likely to drink compared to millennials, which is a good thing. And I've actually started to notice that too at certain events in my town. St. Patrick's Day was one of actually the calmest St. Patrick's Day that I noticed in White Plains, New York, out of the past 7 to 8 years. Not that many kids were actually getting that drunk, but what I was noticing is that they were vaping a lot more, which was very interesting to understand. Again, from a macro level, Pilates is actually becoming a up and coming methodology for people to get in shape. Some people say it's because the baby boomer generation feel a lot more safe when they do Pilates. Other people say that it's just becoming more of a fad. But I would say there's always going to be these cycles. You know, Peloton was part of a fad. It came and gone. Will Pilates be something like that? I'm not sure because I'm personally getting Pilates certified and I'm learning a lot from it. But the fitness industry is not going anywhere. The supplement industry is evolving tenfold over a couple of years. That is something to definitely keep an eye on if you're trying to get into the fitness industry and kind of understand, what people are spending their money on.
Wow, that's shocking because listen, I'm older than you. I think anybody who's watching right now knows I've got a good probably 15, maybe, yeah, 15 years on you. When I started out, I took creatine. I ate it like it was candy. It worked for me.
Yep.
I took phosphagain, which was a weight gain with creatine. I don't know why I did that ever in my life, but that's another story for another show. The supplements. Do you see the young kids working them and stacking them like we used to back in the day? I mean, are they a big part of their workout regimen and their daily life?
Yes. I would say yes right off the bat because of a couple of things. Kids nowadays are more glued to their phone. They definitely see a lot of ads for a supplement next to a very perfect six-pack body when it comes to a male or a female, which subconsciously they think that if they take this supplement, then it will equal to this picture that they see on Instagram. So supplements are becoming a very popular thing. Now, there are third parties that actually help look over what all of these supplements, whether they're safe or not. The FDA doesn't necessarily regulate certain supplements until it's brought to their attention that certain supplements are actually doing harm to their people. But maybe they regulate about like 5-10% of it, but nothing compared to, all of the 90,000 supplement brands that are out there.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, I don't know, Duncan. You've covered everything I can think of. I am never really lost for words. Um, I just think the importance. I don't. I don't care what I think. What do you think? The importance of it. Kind of start wrapping us up and telling us what is the importance. What should be the importance to me, not to you. You love it. You're into it. You know.
Yeah.
You tell me why should Jonathan Scott be at Planet Fitness tomorrow signing up besides my mental health, and we all know that, what is it? 47-year-old male, 3 kids. What am I looking for? What do I need to do?
What I would say right off the bat, health is not selfish, it's selfless. When you take care of your body, you are helping the people that love you, that are around you, worry less about what's going to happen to you down the line. Being in this industry for over 12 years, I've heard and witnessed many horror stories of people going through these traumatic changes when it comes to their own health, that the people around them are highly affected by it too. So that is why it's more than important than ever to understand that you are not only doing this change for yourself, but you're doing this for your 3 kids. Not only are you trying to be healthy for your 3 kids, you're also trying to be an important role model at the same time for the people that you love. Because what you're trying to teach is, listen, when I work out, I don't really care if I'm going to look like this person or that person on Instagram, but I want to look better. And if I am trying to look better and I don't know what I'm going to look like, I still go through the process. So it is a very admirable thing when you take charge of your own health, because what you're telling the people around you is that you're putting yourself first at certain times in the day so you can be that impactful person or that impactful podcaster down the line for as long as you can be.
Wow, that's awesome. White Plains. How far are you from Long Island? I'm out by Stony Brook, so I've got.
Oh, so Strong Island, right? How far am I? I would definitely probably say I'm about an hour away from Long Island. I would probably say I'm an hour and 15 minutes from Ronkonkoma. I'm only 40 minutes away from Brooklyn. I'm only 40 minutes away from New York City, too.
Nice. You guys busy there, though? Personally, you busy there? A lot of people in there keeping you busy?
Yeah, the suburban area, I'm very blessed to be in an area where I can call this a career and not necessarily a job.
Awesome. Duncan, I appreciate you so much, man, for coming on and talking about health and fitness and all that. I know a lot of the people who listen are probably, will get the tie with mental health. But, even more important than the mental health, what the mental health is very important to me, is this whole idea of, fixing the whole body. I do the mental health podcast, it's my true passion. But I think we also have to remember that with our mental health, the physical health comes the fact that we need to take care of ourselves. And I'm glad you were able to come on and just share your expertise and your knowledge with us. And I can't thank you enough, man.
Thank you very much. This was very exciting. Thank you.
Thanks, Duncan. Have a good day, dude.
You too.
And that wraps up another episode of Moderate to Severe. Remember, it is okay to not be okay. Mental health is a journey, and every step counts, no matter how small. I hope today's discussion resonated with you and reminded you that you are not alone in this journey. Please do not use this advice medically, as this is just my story and my tales. If you need help, please seek it out from a medical professional, go to a hospital, or call 988, the suicide hotline. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with your friends or family. Let's crack the stigma and keep the conversation going. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join us next week. Take care of yourselves, and remember that reaching out for help is a sign of strength. Until next time, keep looking after your mental health and supporting each other. This is Jonathan Scott. Have a great day.